Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How do you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Danni Benson. Oh, my God. Hi, everyone. My name is Danni Benson, host and founder of I'm Proud of You Sis. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. I hope everyone's having a fabulous day today. It's so springy outside. I want to say happy holidays to everyone who is, this is like one of the holiest time of the year. I feel like the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, and the Jewish religion are all celebrating their personal religious holidays around this time of year. So I want to say happy holidays to everyone who's watching. I'm proud of you, sis. I have a great guest today. We're going to be talking about, life after divorce. She is Stacey Meads, and I'm so proud of her. Stacey Meads is the CEO and founder of Empowered by Me LLC, where she encourages and equips women with necessary tools and resources to become a better individual holistically. She facilitates workshops and presentations with a passion where attendees are revitalized and resurrected while visibly being what an overcomer looks like. Stacey is an ordained elder in the Lord's Church, where she currently serves in ministry at the Greater Highway Deliverance Temple located in New York City, New York. She also has 3 degrees, bachelor's in information science, bachelor of information of science, a master's in business administration and organizational leadership, and a master's of arts in pastoral counseling. So I am so happy to have Miss Meads to the show to talk about life after divorce. Hi, Stacey. How are you? Hi, Stacey. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me? Hi, Stacey. Can you hear me? You know what? Go back out and come back in again. Okay, she can't hear me. So how you guys doing today? I hope you guys are having a great, great, great day. I'm excited because, I don't know, it's spring break next week. So I get a break from, doing this homework, mom, chucking and jiving, going back to school and activities. I get to have like a little mini vacation while the kids get to relax, so this is why I look so fresh because I don't know. I'm excited. Next week is spring break. Yay! Hey, Stacey.
Yes, we're here.
Yay! Stacey is here. I hope you heard how much I am so proud of you. Last week, Stacey had a live Facebook speaking about different points. She has like about 8 points of life after divorce. And I was so moved by this Facebook Live last week when I joined in that I wanted her to come to the show, and she accepted. So I first want to say, Stacey, I am extremely proud of you, sis.
Thank you for having me.
I know how hard it is to be vulnerable to basically the world because you don't even know who you're speaking to. But you sharing your experiences of life after divorce, let me tell you something, has helped probably so many people that was listening to you. And I wanted you to come to the show so you can talk about those points with me and with my audience. So welcome, Miss Stacey Meads. I'm
Sure.
proud of you, sis. Hi. So let's go. Okay, so you're officially divorced now,
Yeah.
or okay. So how does that make you feel before we start talking about the different points of life
Sure.
after divorce?
So, I mean, now I'm a lot more accepting, not as, aggressive or angry or bitter as some people are in the beginning of their divorce. Just because, like, as I mentioned in those points, you go through those different stages of grief, right? So you
Yes.
go through different phases. Some days you're up, some days you're down, but I'm thankful to God that I'm actually at a state where I'm okay and I have accepted it for what it's worth, and I'm just moving on. But I want to be able to help somebody else who may be in the middle of transition, or someone who's going through it right now, or, someone who's been divorced for years and still needs some help.
So what advice do you have life after divorce?
My biggest advice is that you can live again. And that's important to know, because sometimes when you're going through a divorce, you don't think you're going to be able to see the next second, the next minute, the next hour, the next day, the next week, the next month. So I just want to be able to, be the living example and person that you can live and you can move on and you can be happy and you can do everything that you always wanted to do. Life doesn't stop because you've been divorced.
But it does feel like it's a loss, right? Sometimes divorce, or in the process of divorcing, it does feel that you lost somebody. Like it feels
Yes,
like a death.
definitely. Divorce is, to me, is considered a death, but it's a death, a separation of people who are actually living, who are going to be separating, living their two own separate lives. And that's a process. When you love someone, when you've honored that person, when you spent a lot of time with that person, and then that relationship just ends, it could be very detrimental to your soul. It could be very detrimental to everything that you do. So, I mean, it is a death, but just as with the death of a loved one, there is still a grief process that you still need to go through so that you can move on with your life. Because just as someone who is no longer living here, they wouldn't want you to continue your life being miserable, right? So the same thing goes for your divorce. No one who loves you, who cares about you, is going to want you to stop your life and physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually die because you've experienced this divorce. You need to live.
So how long did it take you to get there?
Well, I've been divorced for over a year, but to be quite honest, like, it's still a process. Just as with grieving of a lost loved one, some days you're good and some days you're not. And then something happens and, you may be triggered where you'll remember when you were divorced, the goods, the good times, the bad times, whatever those memories may be. But you still have to sit in it and get your expressions out to feel what you feel, and that's totally okay. But again, you can't stay there, so it's
you're
a continuous process.
you're right, because if you stay there, life still keeps going. Time doesn't stop. And all you're doing is wasting your look. I don't know where my earpods came from. All you keep doing is wasting your precious time on Earth, where you can move on to find out what's next for you in life.
Right.
Because everything does happen for a reason, and they say people are in your life for, what is it, a
A
season,
reason,
a
a season,
reason,
and a
and a
lifetime.
lifetime. So try to dig in to find out whether that person fall, and not to have any regrets. I tell people, because when you regret one thing, then your whole life changes. Because if one thing didn't happen, then it's like a domino effect, and this couldn't have happened, that couldn't have happened. So you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. And I know it kind of sucks, but appreciate all the lessons that you got from the relationship.
Right.
Appreciate all the gifts that you got from the relationship, and take that to the next relationship or the next part of your life, and try to learn from it.
Absolutely. I mean,
I learned from it.
obviously, when you're married to someone, it is a reason, right? There was a purpose at that time for you
Mm-hmm.
two to be together. And then, I mean, unfortunately, it is a season, right? Because no one goes into a marriage. I mean, we pledge our vows, you know, to death do us part, but it's unfortunate, and it does happen that, you know, you have to divorce, and that's okay. And that means it's for a season. But when it transitions to a lifetime, you have to be able to look over your life and make sure that you're happy, that you're satisfied, that when this life is all over, you can say that I've done everything that I was supposed to do. So you just have to change your perspective on how you look at your lifetime, because once this life is over, this life is over. And you're not going to be able to blame your spouse. You're not going to be able to blame yourself for what you did or did not do. Once this is over, this is over. So just give it the best that you got.
You are so right about that. So drop me some gems. Like, what are the things that you want to tell people who are divorcing, some different gems? Because I know we also talked about therapy. You also talked about,
Oh, yes.
therapy. Yeah.
Yes, therapy is important. I believe that to me, this is my personal belief, but I feel like everybody should seek therapy for something.
Me too.
We are now
Yeah.
out of a pandemic, right? And being in a pandemic and transitioning out to post-pandemic, we've literally experienced a traumatic experience that has never been documented before. Nobody was able to prep us. You know, we went through it the best way that we could, but there was, you know, we're stuck at home with our spouses, our children, you know, maybe working from home, or, you know, maybe having to still go to work during a pandemic. That's a traumatic experience. And I just feel like if you have experienced a traumatic experience, which I think everyone has in some form or fashion, it could be you divorcing, it could be maybe the way you were raised, or maybe a traumatic experience that has happened in your lifetime. I personally feel like you need therapy. You need someone that you can speak to that can help you walk through your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts about these events that has happened. And to me, that's just very helpful. It has literally like saved my life, because I mean, sometimes your thoughts can play tricks on you. You can think some things that are just not
Mm-hmm.
honest, they're unrealistic, and they're just not true. And if you can find the right therapist, then that person can really just help you to see things in a right perspective. You know, it's like a GPS. You know, sometimes we think we know where we're going, and we
Going.
don't
Yep.
listen to that GPS,
Yep.
right? And we drive how we want to drive, but that GPS says recalculating, and that's your therapist telling you, let's recalculate this thing so that we can get you right where you need to be, so that you can go where you need to go.
Yeah. Get you on the right path. Make sure you're on the right path,
Right.
and have the tools to be equipped to be on that path.
Absolutely. And
And
our
you,
and in different cultures, you know, I know therapy is very unheard of. We don't do those things, or, you know, those kind of thoughts, but it's necessary. It can help you to eliminate and eradicate some bad behaviors that can perpetuate itself for the generations to come.
and then you know what? It helps you not repeat the bad behaviors too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because it's there's two people in the relationship, and you have to be accountable for what you did, like, because no one is perfect.
Right.
So what you do is, you don't want to bring that into the new relationship. So
Right.
you gotta go and get an assessment, I
Yeah,
call
you
it,
need a self-evaluation, because some things that you might have thought that you liked or didn't like in that marriage, it could be because of your spouse, maybe because you were, you know, submitted to your spouse, that those things that they liked became what you liked or didn't like, or it could just be that's just not what you like as an individual. So it's almost like God's way of allowing you to start all over again, right? And to figure some things out, so that in your next journey, wherever that may be, even if it's just the rest of your life as single or moving on to marrying someone else, you know who you are, what you bring to the table before you even get there. So if someone tries to come to you and offer you something that you know you don't like, you're not even wasting your
Yeah,
time, because you know
because
what you like and what you don't like.
and then you know your boundaries.
Absolutely.
You
You
like
know what
like
you
you
will
people
tolerate and what you will not tolerate.
And then you know how to better listen to your instincts and let your instincts be validated, and not think that you're crazy. Like all
Right.
of these nonverbal cues that you're getting, you should definitely be listening to them instead of just saying, "Oh, it's nothing. No, it's nothing." No, it is something, because it's another way that your body is telling you,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
like, yeah,
And
because that's what I learned.
some of us have tolerated behavior because we thought that that was what we wanted, or we thought that was what we needed. And now that you know that, if you don't eat fried chicken, someone's not going to be able to give me fried chicken. I
Yeah,
don't like
because
it. I
because
don't
you have
want it
yeah,
because I
because you have
have
your
my
boundaries
boundaries and I know what
set.
I like and what I don't like. Now, if you trying to offer me a piece of chocolate, I may I may have some restrictions there because I love chocolate. But is that the right chocolate for me? There's white chocolate, there's dark chocolate, there's milk chocolate, and then
Mhm.
there's a variety. If you give me dark chocolate, I may not like that. You may give me white chocolate. I don't like white chocolate. I'm going to say, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, and that's why I love the thing about going to therapy, because you really get to know yourself too. Like, I really feel that everyone should be married to themselves first. Get to know who you are. You
Absolutely.
you got to know who you are, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, you lose yourself, and because you want to make the other person happy, you sometimes become what the other person wants, and it's
Right.
not really what you want.
Right. Exactly.
So after a relationship has been broken and separated, it is good to know that, let me find out who I am again, so I can heal properly, so I won't bring this emotional damage to the next relationship, where that emotional damage might damage the next relationship, where it might be a waste of time for me going to different relationships and still being the same
Exactly.
person. So you
Exactly.
might save yourself a lot of time if you do go to therapy and figure out what went right, what went wrong, so we don't repeat this in another relationship. Because who wants to get divorced? Like, two, I know there are people that do it, but I mean, who wants to get? I think one divorce is enough, in my opinion.
One is enough.
'Cause yeah, yeah, I don't think like nobody wants to do repeats of divorce, because I mean, it does happen, but I would want to just be a better person so it
Right.
won't be repeated again. So
Exactly.
another point that you made was, when people found out you were getting divorced, you were like, make sure you knew who your friends were, who your family were. Were they trying to be nosy, or they were being really coming from a concerning place?
Right.
So
So
why did you say that?
So I said that because, I mean, when you go through a divorce, it can be a very, very dark and lonely place. Depending on your reasons for why you are divorcing. And of course, you don't want to tell everybody and anybody because that's not their business, right? But then there are some people who at least in my situation, there were some people who just didn't speak to me at all. And I was like, in the beginning, I was very upset because I'm like, I know that I'm going through a divorce. And you're not saying anything to me. You're not saying, hey, how can I help you? Are you okay? Nothing. And then there were some that were reaching out and they're like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? And it's like, I know you're being nosy because me and you are not really like friends, you know? So it's like, you just got to know who's who and just embrace it. But I got to the point in therapy where I was just like, I told my therapist that there were some people who I really thought should have spoken to me. And they didn't say
Mm,
anything at all. And my therapist said to me, well, what did you expect for them to say?
mm.
And that was a reality check for me because I didn't think that far. So I'm like, I really don't know what I think they should say, like I
Well,
just felt
did you
like
want them to check in? Just at least check
I
in
just
and
really
say,
just
"Are you
wanted them to like
okay?"
check in, like, how are you? How are things going? Is there anything that I can do, to help you through this process, through this transition? I mean, sometimes it's just a check in. Hey, how you doing? Maybe it could be prayer. Maybe it could be, you know, calling me on my phone, taking me out to eat, you know, just making sure I'm not depressed, you know? I mean, just like a welfare check-in in some form of fashion. And it wasn't done at all. And when I got to that point when my therapist was like, well, what do you expect for them to say? Then I was just like, well, would I rather them not say anything at all than to say something that's going to make me upset? I think I would rather you just not say nothing.
Really? I mean,
because if you say something that I don't like, then I'm going to be upset. Then I'm going to be angry. Then I may say something to you that I can't take back in anger because you know what I'm saying? You may like increase my emotions. Now I'm hostile. Versus if you don't say anything, I don't have a choice but to move on with my life because my emotions are no longer unstable. They're just wherever they are at that time. So I got to that point where it's just like, if you say something and you're sincere, great. If you say something to me and I know you're being nosy, thank you, but no thank you. But if you don't say anything to me at all, it's okay because maybe you don't know what to say. Like, I did my live last week, and there were some people who literally reached out to me and was like, I saw your status change. You know, I saw the name change, but I didn't say anything because I didn't know what to say.
Wow.
Can you blame somebody for not knowing what to say?
No, you can't blame them. You can't blame them, but I think that they can call out just to check in. Hey, I'm just calling to make sure you're okay. Because a lot of times, you know, you do feel lonely. You do feel like people don't understand. You do feel ashamed. You do feel like a failure. You do feel like, wait, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this forever, you know, and why isn't this forever? You know, so there's a lot of like, sometimes I feel like it's like a scarlet letter. You know, the scarlet letter represented adultery. I feel like, you know, it's like,
yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, am I? I'm laughing, but I'm thinking in my mind, like in the beginning when I used to have my therapy sessions, it was like you literally feel like you have a sign on your head that says like I'm getting a divorce or like I am divorced, but nobody sees that but you.
Yeah, because
nobody sees that because nobody, nobody knows what that looks like for you. Divorce looks different to everybody. You just have to know how to speak to, how to approach those who are going through that situation. Some people don't need anything at all.
No, you're right.
People just want a hello. Some people need more. So, it really just all depends.
Yeah, it all depends. So what other gems that you have, that the people out here are going through a divorce or after divorce that they should do just to get their life back on track?
For me, it was really, I think one of the gems that I had given was, depression will not be your portion. Because the divorce can be like I said before, can be a very dark place. And of course, when you're going through, some people shut in, they don't want to talk to nobody. They don't want to be around anybody. They don't, they don't know how to deal. They don't have good coping or positive coping mechanisms, right? So for me, it's like, I wanted to encourage somebody to like get out, find your intimate circle, somebody who you can just be honest with outside of, therapy. Like if you have a pastor, speak to your pastor, speak to your, your close friends. Like I had my mom was like literally like my rock because she saw me like at my worst moments. She never judged me. She really just wanted to know how could she help me? How could she support me throughout this whole entire process? Whatever it is, she was willing to do that. And I had some close friends where I can literally just share my intimate feelings. Like, sometimes your feelings can be very raw.
You
it's like a bruise, that just happened. And, sometimes you see the little scrape and, you don't think it's that bad. But then the air touches it over time. And it's like, ow, that really hurts. Like, how did I do that? How do I heal that? What do I need to do? And those are the people who you talk to until you get to that point where you can literally touch that scab and it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah, you do need to find your tribe, because you do need someone to just, talk it out, because, therapy is expensive. They only give you 45 minutes. So you do need other people who are willing to just sit and listen and just be supportive. You don't need the whole world to know everything that's going on, but you just need, like, you can count them in the hand of your fingers.
Exactly. Just a small crew, but enough where you don't feel like you're in this literally alone in every step and every process of this. You don't. If someone here is watching, you don't have to do this alone. You don't.
So let me ask you a question. Are you dating right now, or are you just like still in the mode of just liking to be single and just by yourself?
I am open to dating, but in all honesty, I would rather just work on myself right now. Like, I'm enjoying spending time with me, loving on me, doing what I want to do when I want to do it, still discovering me, I remember to be quite honest, like I remember being married and not wanting flowers, or not like really liking gifts, or even being mushy for that matter. But now, like, I buy myself flowers. I realize I like flowers,
Really?
I buy myself flowers every week, and it helps like spruce up my attitude when I come into the house. It's like, like it's my peace, it's my home. And
so what do you think the transition was? Like, was it the relationship that made you not like the flowers, or you are older and more mature? And
I didn't think I really liked flowers. Like, I can't really explain it. Like, roses are nice. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Roses are okay, but I like lilies and, sunflowers. Like, sunflowers is like my big thing right now. So anything with sunflowers, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
So, just realizing what I like and what I don't like. And some things, see,
that's why
it changes.
That's why I was never the type of person that jumped from one relationship to the next relationship. I always had like spaces in between, because I'm okay with being alone. I'm okay with being by myself. I actually love who I am. I'm kind of crazy sometimes. I kind of enjoy just
it's not to say that you won't have moments where like you want to be with someone. I'm not saying that you won't have those moments. You definitely will, but I mean, I would
you know what it is? I just like doing things where I don't have to compromise any. I don't have to feel like I'm compromising. I can wear this color, and as long as I like it, it's fine. I can eat whatever I want to eat. It's weird how I know some friends or family members or whatever who just jump from one relationship to the next. Like, I'm do you ever know who you are?
Like, I'll give a prime example.
Okay,
wow,
let's hold that
okay.
thought. For my Optimum viewers, watches me on Channel 20 every Saturday at 9 a.m. Thank you for joining. I'm Proud of You Sis with my guest Stacey Meads, talking about life after divorce. Stacey, do you want to share your handles with the audience, please?
Sure. So if you're looking for me on Facebook, you can find me Stacey Meads. If you're looking for me on Instagram, you can find me at Miss Stacey Renee. So that's MS Stacey Renee. And if you want to contact me by email, you can email me at empoweredbymellcnj@gmail.com.
Thank you, Stacey. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll be right back. I am here with Miss Stacey Meads, CEO founder of Empowered by Me LLC. We're talking about life after divorce. So what were we just talking about? Like, oh, the thing about being alone. Like, I like being
Yes.
alone.
So one of the biggest demonstrations that I've seen, I actually saw it at a women's conference, and it has stuck with me. And this person took two pieces of paper, right? And they put glue on it, like in the center of the paper, and stuck the two pieces together. So obviously, when you separate it apart, there are pieces of that other piece of paper that's there. And it's like, as you keep separating it and pulling it back, you're getting bits and pieces. And it's like, wouldn't you rather like go into the next relationship with a blank piece of paper than the other pieces from the other side? Because as you're inter and commingling and dating other people, you're grabbing bits and pieces of them. And a part of them becomes you. Then you start liking what they like, what they don't like, eating what they want to eat, going out and doing things that they like to do. But then you don't know exactly like who you are as an individual. Like when I go into my next relationship, I want to be able to go into that new relationship with this clean piece of paper. Like, this is me. No, no additives, no preservatives, no nothing, like no chemicals, like our fruits and vegetables, like it's been pasteurized. Like, this is the real deal. This is me. And if you love me, love me. And if you don't, that's okay. But don't waste my time. Because nobody has time. An example that I used in my life was, life is not a DVR. We can't rewind, we can't replay, we can't fast forward. Once this life is over, it's like old school TV. When the show came on at 7 and went off at 8, the show was over. You couldn't watch it again.
I know. And you would like wait to see if they were going to repeat it again.
Back then it didn't replay.
Yeah.
It's not like now where, if the special comes on at 7, you may be able to like watch it late at night, or, some episodes, you can watch it maybe like the week after, the hour before the new episode comes in. But once this life is over, that's it.
Well, that's how I feel. That's why I know people say life is short, but I know life is short because the older I'm getting, it's a guarantee that my life has shortened. Right? Even if nothing ever happens to me and I die naturally, I know that my time is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Right. So the beauty of I feel getting older is you don't have time for the I don't know. It's like, are we doing this or we're not? If we're not doing this, let me move on. Because my time, I'm not 7 where I say I have the rest of my life, or maybe in my 20s when I used to be like in 10-year relationships.
You think you have forever? You think you have forever in your 20s?
Yeah, like 10. Now I'm at a time where we're both adults. You either like it or you don't like it, and if you don't like it, we're cool. And it's time to go to the next adventure.
As you're getting older, you're maturing. So you're finding it's like self-discovery. Self-discovery is a continuous process. And every day you should be learning something, just like every day you should be learning something new about yourself. The key thing is that in this lifetime with the next person, you want to be able to find a person that you can grow with and learn with together. Because as you're changing, right? As you're learning, as you're maturing, you want to be with someone who's going to love you as you grow, love you as you mature, love you as you find out, what your real calling is in life and really walking that thing. Like, that's what you're looking for. I mean, in your 20s, we think we have forever. But as we get older, it's like, it's a level of maturity. You stop lying to yourself. You really start feeling like, some of us, we go on dates and you can see a guy a mile away trying to talk to you and you're like, absolutely not. Exit stage left. Don't even waste my time. And then there are some that we're like, well, maybe. And we tolerate them and we allow them in our life, and then we're crying because we knew already they were no good for us. And then there are some, hopefully there will be someone else who will come by and You can grow together.
You know, I learned something new today. I was talking to someone and they said women hold the decision of when when I want to be intimate with you. And men hold a decision if I want to marry you. I was like, wow. To me, that was so deep.
That's good, because I mean, it's a man who asks you, do you want to spend the rest? But I mean, we're nurturers. Like, we're women. Like, it's in our DNA to multiply, to produce, to make life better. So we make that decision. I mean, if I don't want to grow with you, I'm not. But I'm not the person, I'm not the person that's going to come to you and say, hey, do you want to spend the rest of your life with me? Like, men decide that.
Men decide that. But what he also said is that women, when they meet men, will already put them in the friend zone and the man doesn't know it. And men, when they meet women, will put them in the sex zone and they'll never know it. Meaning, like, sex zone, meaning like, we're not gonna get married. I'm just gonna. I was dumbfounded. I was like, wow.
Men are visual too, so it's the way that we're built. We're just built differently. But you just, like I said, you just would have to find the right person that just where you complete each other, really.
Basically, he said you gotta ask questions. You gotta ask questions.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what the whole dating scene is for. I mean, dating is collecting data, right? It's not
that's
just
what it is?
spending
Collecting data.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Not this situationship, not these booty calls. No. Dating is collecting data. What do you like? What's your 5-year plan? What is your belief system? How would you raise your children? Those kind of things. Like, those things are important. You don't want to get married and then find out that your spouse doesn't want children. And you want children.
And you know what I learned is the way the person is the way the person is after the marriage. In my mind, I always thought, and even when we were growing up, it's like, with Cinderella, she was she looked so regular, and then as soon as she got married, it was like, ooh, she looks so beautiful. What I realize is, and what I want people to realize is, marriage doesn't change the person. Marriage is just a piece of paper, right? So the way the person was before you're married, the paper doesn't change the person after you're married. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but for me, I guess meaning
their core values, not like
their core values. Yeah, their core values should not change.
Like, if they say they don't want no kids, and you still marry them, then you shouldn't pressure them to have kids after, because to say you don't want to have kids, to me, is a core value where that's not going to change. That's what I mean when I say, like, if we have our, how you have your boundaries.
Right.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so I know you said something like you don't. So imagine if I'm a vegetarian, right? And then we get married. You can't all of a sudden assume that I'm not going to be a vegetarian anymore. So if you thought that was going to change because I like meat, and when we get married, she'll like meat too. No, these are my core values. That's not going to change.
So one of the things that I've learned, and my uncle, he's a pastor in California, he mentions this all the time. And he tells, when he talks about dating, he tells women, do not marry a project. Meaning, don't go into a marriage thinking that you're going to change them, because you will end up behind schedule, over budget.
Oh, wow. Like building a house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you'll go in with all these great plans and you'll be behind schedule, or you'll be over budget, or you may not even build anything at all. Like, don't go in thinking that you can change someone, because one thing I've learned in this lifetime is you cannot make someone do something they don't want to do.
You cannot.
It doesn't matter what kind of pressure you think you can put on them. I mean, you may think you got some good loving, a nice package, but, and I'm not saying you don't, but it's not gonna make a man change his mind. Just
no, you're
like,
right.
someone's not gonna be able to change your mind. You're gonna do what you want to do, how you want to do it. And
No,
once you
you're right.
understand that that's who they are, you can't change them. You end up over budget and behind schedule.
And another advice I would give people: don't marry potential. I know it sounds bad. It works maybe in your 20s potential, because everyone is trying to get to where they're at. But I think the later on, like 30s and 40s, I personally feel that people do have dreams and aspirations. I'm not going to give a timestamp on it, but I feel that you have to have other reasons why you're marrying that person.
Right.
Not
You have to go into a marriage based off of what is presented to you at
to
that time.
you at that time,
Because you have to
yes.
take into consideration that things may change, things may not.
Yeah. And
And
that's what I
if it
mean by
never
potential.
changes,
Yeah.
are you going to be okay with living your life like that for
And
the
that's what I mean.
rest of your life?
And that's
That's
what I
something that you have
mean.
to consider. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't go into a marriage
Potential.
solely based on
Because
potential. No, because
potential changes all the time. So that's what I'm saying. And that I think that's why sometimes the divorce rate is so high, because we have this hope of potential, right? But potential doesn't mean a guarantee. It just means potential. It just means where it could be, but it doesn't say this is going to be, right? So
that
when you
person
get
has to be willing to do the work to get it done.
no, you're right. But sometimes because it's potential, you're not there yet, doesn't mean that's what's
Right.
going to happen.
That's true.
That's why I say you have to find other things that you are in love with the person, and it can't just be like, well, he has the potential to be this, he has the potential to be that, because I don't want no one to be disappointed if that potential doesn't pan out.
Right.
Because I really don't want the divorce rate to be how high it is. It just seems like people are getting divorced left and right. I tell people all the time, the marriage is hard. Would you agree?
Marriage is work.
It's
And
work.
both parties have to be willing
Do the
to
work.
invest and do the work. One
And
person can't do it alone. Like
no,
the Lone Ranger,
yeah.
there was a show called The Lone Ranger, but the Lone Ranger wasn't alone. The
He
Lone
wasn't?
Ranger had Tonto. He wasn't by himself. Adam
well,
did not
let me
multiply,
tell
did not continue
no,
this life without Eve. You need somebody else.
let me tell you something. This is why I tell my kids all the time. I talk to my kids about teamwork. It's better to push a couch with two people than with one. I tell my kids that all the time, because I'm trying to
That's
make
good.
sure they stick together and they work as a team, and don't think that, not that they can't do things by themselves. And that's what a marriage is. Like, I try to explain to them what a marriage is. Like, if one person is the one that's always pushing the couch, which is very heavy, and the other person is not doing the work too in the lifting, then it becomes very difficult to move that couch.
Right. It doesn't mean that you can't move the couch. It's going to be a struggle, but it would have been easier if you had both people together, one on each side, saying, okay, let's lift, let's move. It'll be easier.
And that's how I feel that people need to know what marriage is. Marriage is a compromise between two people who are committed to each other, regardless of the emotion and the feelings of that person. Because there's going to be days that you like the person, there's going to be days you don't like the person.
Emotion change.
And also, I will tell women out there, if you get asked by a man to marry you, and he's not where he is when he asks you, like he is not at the place where you want him to be, where he asks you, please don't marry to think that that's going to change. Because wherever he's at, when he's asking you, like, if you don't like this about it, don't like that about him, don't like this about him, and you think that this marriage is going to change it, you have to meet people where they're at. If this is where he's at and he has not elevated and he's asked you to marry him and those situations still exist, please do not think that once you get married, and that goes for both women and men. I'm not making this a man thing. It goes for women too. If a man feels that way also, please don't think that once you get married, it's like the little Cinderella comes with a wand and it's like, voila, it is where you want it to be. No, it's work. I'm not saying it can't get there.
It's work that two willing parties have to be willing to invest in, and it's not something that we invest in today and then we don't invest, any other time. You have to continuously make deposits. It's like a bank account, right? You have to continuously make deposits, because if you're writing checks, so you got automatic debits coming out every month and you're not making any deposits, guess what? You're going to overdraft your account. And then there's going to be overdraft fees, and them overdraft fees are expensive.
Yes.
So you have to continuously make deposits, and it's a lifelong thing. And if you're not willing to make those deposits into your relationship, then I would say stay by yourself until you're willing to do that.
Or stay by yourself if you're still in a phase of selfishness, because it's nothing wrong with being selfish to yourself and loving yourself. I just tell people, don't include someone in that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Be fair to the other person. If you're at a space where it's all about
you're doing the other person a disservice. And if you care about them, if you honor them, if you respect them, you don't want to waste anyone's, you don't want to waste anyone's time.
Yeah.
Because that's wasted that you can't get back.
Okay, Stacey, I'm so proud of you, sis. I hope that people who are out there who are going through a divorce or are separated or are finalized and now they're like, what is next? I just want to have Stacey on the show to show you that there is life after divorce.
There's life.
You will find that smile again. You will find that cheer again. You like you said, like if someone died, would they want you to be at that same place, or would they want you to continue your life to find?
They want you to live life and live it to the fullest. And although that separation does feel like a death, you still need to live your life.
Yes.
Because when this life is over, we're all gonna have to give an account, and our previous spouses are not gonna be able to be our excuses.
Like you're basically responsible for yourself.
You're responsible for yourself.
You can't look at your spouse and say, you can't blame your spouse for anything. Everyone has to account for themselves. You can't blame someone. Well, they slowed me down. They did this,
Nope.
No. And even if they did, it's up to you to be accountable to yourself to get right back on path to where your purpose is and where you need to be.
Right.
So I want to say, everyone, thank you for joining. I'm proud of you, sis. And this goes for people who are in committed relationships. And this also goes for people who are in relationships too, because we do break up, right? Whether it's marriage, relationships, committed, things do break up sometimes. Not there's people who've been in relationships forever. It doesn't break up. But this is what's for advice for people, how to cope after it breaks up, and to show you that there is life
reason,
after.
that season, and a lifetime.
Thank
some for a season. You figure out the reason, and then you move on so that your life can be worth for the rest of your lifetime.
Yes. So thank you, everyone, and see you next week. And happy holidays to everybody. Bye.
Night.
Thank you, Stacey. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey. Bye.